This is ESBR Boxing. Delighted to be joined by Val and Greg as we are reacting to the weigh-in that we've just witnessed there between Anthony Joshua and Robert Helenius ahead of tomorrow night's main event at the O2 Arena in London. Guys, I don't know about you, but I always enjoy a bit of a weigh-in reaction. I love seeing the stare downs and sometimes a wee bit of animosity maybe that we'll touch on as well. But first and foremost, guys, thanks very much for joining me. Greg, I will come to you first. Scales wise, AJ tipped the scale at 250, which is £5 down from Franklin. The Franklin fight in April. Helenius tipped the scales at 249 and 4 ounces. So basically, essentially exactly the same weight as he fought last weekend there. And it's actually £4 lighter than when he fought Deontay Wilder last October. What do you make of both men stepping onto the scales, the shape of both men?
Yeah, Paul, thanks for having me. Really impressed with both. I thought for a big guy, Helenius looks really good. His eyes were razor focused. I thought Joshua never looks bad, does he? He always looks good, AJ. So he just looked awesome, his usual self. I think 250 is a good weight for Joshua. It's heavy, but it's a weight where he can be athletic as well. I think we just seen two bad motherfuckers there, and I liked what I seen.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. As you mentioned, obviously Joshua coming in at 250 there, came in at 255 for his Franklin fight, and then Usyk fights, he was 240 for the first one, which a lot of people thought was maybe a little bit too light. And then the second one, he was 244. So he's kind of finding that happy medium between around about 250 or 248, 249. Probably to me anyway, as a Joshua fan, I like seeing him around that weight. Same question for yourself, Val, and thanks for jumping on. What did you make of the shape of both men, the condition of both men, and what you saw at the weigh-ins?
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Joshua looks as usual. It's hard to read too much into that because he always looks so dialed. But yeah, I think after a full second camp with Derek James, and maybe that 250 is just the weight that we would expect from a full camp with him. Obviously, we know they don't really aim for a weight with Joshua. Helenius, for a guy that's 39, he looks in really good shape. He's obviously come out of his last fight and trained on a little bit. And yeah, I guess after a third round stoppage in his last fight, then he's ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, think that well, might as well meant to touch on Helenius as well. Definitely credit to him. He's in good shape. He's in good nick. He definitely looks like he's coming to win. And one other thing we wanted to talk about before I asked for your kind of final predictions and whether the way in changed your predictions or not. Little wouldn't say a scuffle or anything at the end. There were, no, there was no handbags or anything, but the stare down was lasting a long time, and then you heard Joshua muttering, "Are we good? Are we good?" Kind of saying something like, "You look like you've got a problem with me." Greg, what did you kind of make of that whole thing at the end of the weigh-in?
Val, Paul Kelly, I fucking love that shit, man. That's what I live for. I love that scene when the weigh-ins done. And the two of them, it looked as though it was going to be a respectful stare down at first. And then I think AJ's got a bit of an ego, let's be honest. I think he expected Helenius to be the guy that looks away first. And Helenius turned away, but kind of kept his eye on Joshua. Joshua was like, "Have you got a problem?" Helenius was like, and he's like, we're going to go tomorrow night, but basically we can go right now if you want as well. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is going to kick off, man. I love all that shit. I really do. I love the way Helenius dealt with it because at first I thought he looked as though he backed down, but he just said he was cool. And then when they interviewed him, he just said he didn't really discuss what they spoke about, and he just said, "I'm here for an upset," and he walked away. And I just thought that was class. But AJ, it's good the way he is, Paul, because he jumps between looking like a guy that's lost his mind and a guy that's razor cool. See, to be able to do that, that's a talent in itself. I mean, he looked as though he was really ready to go with Helenius, and then he starts throwing hats to the crowd. You know, is this guy all right? So yeah, I love all that. It's just added to more spice for tomorrow night.
Yeah, completely agree, mate. I'm looking forward to it even more. Even more now. It looks like Joshua definitely had that glint in his eye that he wants to,
Yeah.
do serious damage to Helenius. Val, what about yourself? Do you love all that at the end of the way? And do you read anything into it?
I love seeing that. Yeah, I would normally you wouldn't really get that from an AJ. It's hard to read much into it, but yeah, I thought to start with, this is going to be a pretty standard stare down. But yeah, more. I was just wanting more of it really, and yeah, I think Helenius, it's not really affected him. He's 39. He's a vet. He's coming to win. He's 100%. He looks confident in himself, and this is like he knows this is his golden opportunity now. So yeah, as long as he's not overconfident. Maybe like with Wilder, obviously got caught earlier. So he's not overconfident, respects AJ's power. Otherwise, I think he could just walk straight onto a right hand.
Yeah, interesting. Kind of touched on how you thought maybe walking on the right hand and all there. Well, may as well talk about our predictions and whether the weigh-in has had kind of any implication on changing our mind or not. Val, come straight back to you first. I don't know what your prediction was before. I don't know what your prediction was pre-weigh-in, but what is your prediction, your final prediction for Joshua against Helenius tomorrow night, and has it changed after the weigh-in?
So I was predicting, as an AJ fan, but trying not to be biased, I was predicting a mid-round, round 6 stoppage, I would say. And I would stick with that. I do have my question marks over like mentality. Obviously, he's mentioned like the danger of taking a late replacement, and he's witnessed that himself with Ruiz. And he's spoken about making kind of the decision to take a replacement for the good of the undercard as well. So I just wonder how much he believes in himself and how much Ruiz plays on his mind. But I do expect a knockout. Obviously, you've got the Wilder knockout as well of Helenius, so hopefully that's not playing on his mind. He does want the rounds under Derek James, which he's made clear. But as Helenius kind of like he tends to get going in the mid to late rounds a bit, he's a little bit of a slow starter. That could be a bit dangerous for AJ. Maybe he comes alive in the mid rounds.
Yeah, interesting, very interesting. Greg, what about yourself? What was your prediction before, and has it changed now that you've watched the weigh-ins?
Yeah, Paul, I'll be honest, I've not really had a prediction before. I think it's quite an awkward fight for Joshua because I don't want to read too much into Wilder stopping Helenius in one round, because I think if Deontay Wilder hits any heavyweight in the world clean, doesn't matter who they are, I think there's a good chance he could stop them at any point, especially early. And the earlier you are and the less warmed up you are, the more you're likely to get stopped if you get hit. I feel for Anthony Joshua a little bit going into this. I don't want to be negative, but he needs to go and make a statement on Helenius tomorrow night, because the savage world that we live in, Val, Paul, people compare that to Wilder. It doesn't matter what we think, that's what they're going to compare that to, because I've read that Wilder's representatives are in town tomorrow to discuss signing the fight for January if it all goes ahead. To answer your question, Paul, I think because he has to, I'm going to say I'm going to go AJ inside 5 rounds. But I think for AJ to make it look as good as it possibly can, I think he needs to do it in 4. But I'll say AJ inside 5.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. You know what? I'll just go one more than you. I'm gonna say it within 3, but I don't know whether that's because I've got my Anthony Joshua tinted glasses on. As we all know, it's no secret. But yeah, I'm gonna be there tomorrow night. First time actually seeing him
Yeah.
live in the flesh. I can't wait for that. But yeah, I'm expecting and hoping for a 2 or 3 round blowout, and I'll be happy with that. I don't think you can knock him. I imagine he did knock him out quicker than Wilder, but I don't see that happening. It was 2 minutes of the first round. But yeah, really looking forward to it. Guys, I suppose that's all we've really time for. I really appreciate your time there reacting to the weigh-in of Joshua Helenius before tomorrow night's heavyweight showdown at the O2 Arena in London. Val, thanks very much for joining me, and I'm sure I'll speak to you again in
Thank you for having me
upcoming
on.
videos. And Greg, thanks very much as always to you too. And guys, cheers for watching.
Cheers.
Thank you.